What is it that you think you did or didn't do that made people start referring to you as the motherfucking feds?
That's easy. So up until I came along, hip hop interviews were always very softball. I feel like most interviews were happening on the radio. So long form interviews weren't happening. Very short clips were happening, and interviewers, that era of interviewers weren't really pushing the envelope. They wanted to be cool with the artists. They wanted to go to the parties, they wanted to be friends with everyone, they wanted to be cool with the labels and so forth. And this is the, the sways of the world and everything else like that. And these dudes built a hell of a career doing what they did, and I used to listen and watch them. But I would always watch these interviews going like, man, all the real questions aren't being asked. Like all the questions that me and my friends.
So you wanted to push the line.
I wanted to push the line. I wanted to push harder than everyone else was pushing, because I was watching 60 Minutes and I'm like, these motherfuckers is going all in.
Got it.
And so I was like watching this going like, all right, well, I'm gonna ask the shit that, like, if I get to sit down with someone who I admire and I get a certain amount of time with that person, I'm not just gonna waste time by talking about their outfit and just talking about a bunch of surface level shit.
Right.
I want to talk about the real shit. Like for example, I just interviewed Hell Rell, J.R. Ryder, and Duke the God. Right. And me and Hell Rell go back to my early days, 2008, 2009. So we have a long history. So I was like, yo, I know no one else asked you this question, but me and you go back. Tell me about that fight that happened. When the dude attacked you at the restaurant and filmed it and stuff like that. Hell Rell, me and you go back, so I'm comfortable asking you this question.
Yep.
There was an altercation that happened in 2018 at a restaurant.
Facts.
What happened?
Oh man, I was in there eating with my family, and this is prior to, this is me knowing before the clout chasing era was. Some niggas came in there filming with a phone and attacked me.
So for the first time ever, Hell Rell talked about that.
That was the first time
That was the first time ever. That happened years and years ago. But that's the type of shit that I do. And it's like, yo, let's talk about the shit.
So you may ask
yeah, and something, he didn't have a bad reaction. He's like, okay, yeah, let's talk about it. He said what happened. Yo, yeah, that happened. I got caught slipping. It's not going to happen again, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, he didn't have a problem talking about it. But I think what it was is that people were scared to ask him the question, right? And look, you fast forward to 2025, going into 26, what I do isn't even all that crazy anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got the Traplo Rosses of the world that are like talking about all the murders some rapper did.
Hear me on this. Do you think it's a responsibility of yours to maybe stay away from questions or things that may turn around and come back to bite a person? Like, because I'm pretty sure, feds, they do their canvas, they come back and they looking at these interviews and dudes is self-incriminating themselves. Do you feel like you got a responsibility to stay away from some of the shit that might come back and haunt some of these dudes, because some of these guys may not be as knowledgeable of what's going on? Some of them is just basically posturing and saying things, and and it may be too late later on.
I do have a responsibility, and if you really look into what I do, I always avoid questions about active cases. The only person I've ever heard of that had a Vlad TV interview used against them in any sort of legal proceeding was Keefe D. And when I did the interview with him, he had already written a book. That was on Amazon. So we talked about what was in the book, right? But in general, I've always avoided questions. I've always tried to de-escalate situations. Man, I try to de-escalate things between Young and Ace and Fulio. I try to tell all types of dudes.
I like what you said. Pardon me, I didn't mean to cut you off. I like what you said on, I think I saw you on CNN. I was home one day and I seen you on CNN. You was like, man, the feds wanted to come get some tapes of yours, and you told them no.
With Jimmy Henchman.
I forgot what it was about.
I've said this story a few times.
Right.
I mean, I did an interview with Jimmy. The next day he called me, because it was a jail interview because he was doing Triple Life. And he said, because during the interview, you gotta understand, like, when I do interviews with people, I kind of zone out a bit because I'm thinking about the next question. I'm thinking about the structure. There's a lot that's going on. You know, I'm in my laptop sometimes. There's a lot going on. So sometimes certain things that a person says, I don't always catch until later when it comes out. So we did an interview. It came out a day or two later. He called me from jail and said, hey, listen, my lawyer asked me, said that something I said about my case could potentially affect my retrial, because he had a retrial coming up. He said, can you take the interview down? I said, sure, no problem. Right? I don't want to, interview's not worth your freedom at the end of the day. So I took the interview down, and then maybe, I don't know, 6 months later, the feds called me up and they wanted a copy of the interview. And I'm like, well, I don't have to give it to you. I'm the media. And they're like, well, you already posted it. And I'm like, so what?
Right.
Then go ahead and grab whatever I posted. But they wanted the original.
Yeah.
And I said, no. And they're like, well, if you don't give it to us, we're going to subpoena you and put you on the stand.
Right.
And I said, well, then you'll have to speak to my lawyer then. I have nothing more to say. So I spent $10,000 on a lawyer, and we fought it, and they never got it. Now, ultimately, Jimmy had a retrial, and he lost.
But it had nothing to do with you. I respect.
And he didn't even know about it until years later.
No, but I respect it because I actually.
It's a true story.
Yeah,
it's a true story.
I actually caught you on the news talking, and you was like that. You know, you wasn't giving him nothing. So I always thought that was respect.
Yeah, and it wasn't until, because me and Zab Judah are friends,
right?
And he has a baby. He has twins with Jimmy Henchman's daughter, and I remember years later, I told him that. I told both of them that, actually, and then they told their dad, and then he found out about it years later. But it wasn't like, I just did it just to do it, because if you come and sit down with me, I'm not gonna turn around and, I'm gonna try to, help you from going to jail over something that we did to the best of my ability.
Right.
Now, I can't, have a number of people that have done interviews with me gone to jail afterwards? Yeah. But I can't stop you from doing...
But they haven't, so you're telling me they haven't used your interviews in court?
Who?
So only one,
There's always been rumors about this, but no one's ever pulled out paperwork or transcripts because it's never happened. And when you talk to, oh, you're the reason Casanova's in jail. Really? Because Casanova's not saying that. I don't remember any of my footage being used in the Casanova trial at all.
Right.
Oh, you put Arab in jail. None of my footage from my Arab interviews was used.
So this is a myth.
It's a myth. Because you know how it is on the internet with people making their little documentaries, making their little videos, breaking shit down or whatever else. Oh, look, the government is saying that this person's gang related, and they talked about their gang relation in this Vlad TV interview 5 years ago over some shit they went to jail for, and they're already out for. You see what I'm saying? Like, they try to connect dots that aren't really connected. But it sounds good in a YouTube video. It's not like we're gonna go through all this trouble trying to get it taken down. It just is what it is. Like you said, people do videos about you that aren't true. But at the end of the day, you can't accuse me of doing something in the legal arena when everything is documented and there's no paperwork to back up what you're accusing me of, right? Discovery, court transcripts. The WAC 100s of the world are great at this type of shit. You know what I mean? Nothing, because it's just not true. It's just not true. But that's cool if you want to run with that. I'm not tripping. I've had a great run. My run's still continuing.